stoned, 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 stoned again. Let's get stoned, 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 stoned again. And if you don't have no money, you don't have to worry, 'cause I got plenty of weed, man. You can come and get stoned with me. Every fucking day and every fucking night, I think about the world and how it's turned so shy.
Like Leeds United.
And I need some friends to moan with, so I can share my blues. Jason, Andy, Webby, and Ade on Raconteurs News. Let's get stoned, 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 stoned again. Let's get stoned, 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 stoned again. And if you don't have no money, you don't have to worry, 'cause I got plenty of weed, man. You can come and get stoned with me. Come on. Let's get stoned, 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 stoned again. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Let's get stoned, 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 stoned again. Yeah, let's get really hammered. And if you don't have no money, you don't have to worry, 'cause I got plenty of weed, man. You can come and get stoned with me. You can come and get stoned with me. Nice, man. You can come and get stoned with me.
Good evening, welcome to Raconteurs News. Tuesday, the 2nd of April. I nearly said February then. It's been Ed's just all over the place at the moment. I don't quite know what's wrong with me, but yeah, it's the 2nd of April, and I should know really because that's the month that I was born in. It's the month where all the great people were born in. My wife was born in April, so was my dog, Watson. He was born in April, and Saddam Hussein was born in April. In fact, I shared a birthday with him. So April's a great month, and it's surely the tradition is that we get some false flag stuff. We talked about the New Zealand stuff that last night with Vinnie Eastwood. That were a little bit early to be included in the April statistics, but yes, I'm expecting quite a few more. We're getting up close to the anniversary of the death of Osama bin Laden, which was, I think, May 2nd. So we're about a month away. So we'll just watch out for stuff coming up in the next month or so. Just one other thing as well. I just wanted to say a big thank you to somebody who listens to the show. And has today I got a excellent surprise through the post. It wasn't for me, it was for somebody else. So I'm just going to show it him because he's modelling it at the moment, but he just keeps trying to rip it off. So I just don't want him to rip it off and rip it. So I'm going to get him. Watson, come here. Come here. Come and show all these people your new clothes. Yes, there we go. Watson has his own retro Sheffield Wednesday shirt that he's wearing. I think it's circa 2003-ish, this one. But there he is. There he looks magnificent. And a big thank you to Super Leeds who sent me that. I was really touched by that this morning. It really cheered me up a lot. So thank you from me and from Watson and from Danielle behind me as well, even though she doesn't even look like she cares. But I promise you, she does. She does, yeah. We've had some decent feedback on the interview that we did last night, and we've also had some feedback on interview. I don't know if you're knocking about. Yes, Super Leeds. Sorry, Super Leeds. I wanted to mention as well, because she sent me an email and I read it last night after the show. I was just too knackered to email you back, and today I've just been sat in a pit of depression and stuff. So I've just been sat there, not really doing anything. So sorry, but no, I wasn't. I didn't take any offence at the things you said about me removing the Friday shows, but that was sort of a thing that I did I thought it was going to be some sort of gimmick that I was just going to leave it up for 24 hours and then remove them, and so like give people. But then I thought, well, that just makes me a complete and utter wanker. So I put them all back up, and they will remain back up. And me and Ade will be doing some of them. In the future, most definitely. And as you know, as I mentioned last night, we had Ann Marie Carey lined up for this evening, but unfortunately, she sent me a message this morning, and she's had to cancel. She's having to attend some sort of family matter. She had to attend to some sort of family matter, but I'm sure we'll get her on in the very near future. I'll see if we'll see what we can get, whether we can get her on next week. And of course, we've got the no Webby situation. I've not even got me sent a Webby anymore. So what am I going to do? Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to with no guest. It would have just been me, but stepping into the breach right there. Ade Hardy's come on, just so that we can resurrect this show. This show that was in ashes. We'd had 2 guests on before. We'd had 2 guests lined up before, and both for different circumstances. Have not materialised, have had to cancel, or we've had to cancel on them. Yes, those guests will be coming on. So I've dug deep, and I've got myself my mate. I thought, who can I get on to have a chat? Even if we just do an hour, which I'm not suggesting we will. We might just do an hour. We'll see how far it goes. We'll see what happens in the immediate future here on Raconteurs News. Let me just say hello to everybody who's in the chat room. Super Leeds is in there as usual. Hi to you, Super Leeds. Steve Owens. Tony's in there as well. Dot. Society of the Spectacle. Stormicide. That's a new name on me. I've never heard that one. Ron Malcom, Richard Kisnett. There's lots and lots of people in there. It's if you're not in there and you're just listening on, that's fine. There's no problem with that at all. But if you want to get involved with everybody in there, as you can see, it is it is a friendly place. It's somewhere where people can come together and exchange ideas and chat and do all sorts of different things with each other, as we know when Super Leeds is concerned anyway. And so anyway, without further ado, let me introduce well, I suppose you're a guest tonight, aren't you, really? Tonight, it's the man who went to Thailand and came back having not accidentally done a gay thing by accident in Thailand. I'm sure there's many people come back with tales of woe, but I'm assured by Ade and also by the paparazzi that were following him around while he was there, that he behaved himself impeccably. Good evening, Ade. How you doing, mate, old mate?
I'm good, thanks, Jason. How are you?
Yes, I'm perking up a bit actually. I don't know what it is. I suffer with terrible anxiety all day before this show, and I don't know why. I don't even understand why. I just do, and it's every Monday and Tuesday, and I just can't even drag myself to do anything. And it takes everything that I've got for me to drag myself to do this show. So, I'm not. I just wish I could get to the bottom of it, which I'm going to get to the bottom of it at some point. Yeah, we toddle on. I suppose it's the same with you.
Yeah, one thing that I found quite hard. The whole point of all this stuff that we talk about is to be happy, but because of the sort of subjects that we cover, they tend a lot to be unhappy ones, and in a lot of cases, things that are designed to oppress us and depress us. And that's the sort of things that we end up talking about. So it is difficult, to stay happy and chirpy and, and I think it's just because of the nature of the beast. It is what it is, and they are the subjects, but they are important subjects.
Yeah, they are. It don't make them any easier to talk about as well. And I always find that I was talking. I don't know if you remember Bernie from quite a while ago. I don't know whether you were around with us, but I found out that he died last year. But I only found out like a couple of weeks ago. And he was somebody that came to me and asked me for help, and I did an interview with him. I went to his house and I did an interview on camera, on video. It was quite a good. Yeah, I thought it was a good. I mean, remember, this is a couple of years ago. It must be 2014 because I still knew Frags. But I did an interview with him, and I was no good at interviewing. Well, no good now, but or even worse then. I'd never done out before ever. So we did this interview, and I thought it went quite well, and there were a lot of good information in there. In the thing, but I gave it to a guy who said he'd edit it and upload it and make it into he'd put all the graphics on and that, and I never saw it again. And after I found out that he'd died, I was looking for any trace of this footage that I'd taken. If I could find it, I got old hard drives out. Look, there you go. I've got an old hard drive out there, and I put it in Reader, and I'm trying to find this. Unfortunately, this one's knackered, so there were nothing that could be retrieved from it. So there are things like that, and you think that guy came to me, and I felt a little bit like I'd let him down. The other people that have come, that have been, that I've tried to help. Usually we've managed to help them, haven't we? And then somebody comes along and just things take over. So that put me down on a downer a bit. But let's not get all down about stuff.
Listen, I think the first thing I ever said on Raconteurs News was that this world belongs to all of us, not just the chosen few. And it is our job to do nice things for other people just because we can. And sometimes we can't save everybody. And as I've found out myself, some people, as much as they say they want to be helped and saved, they actually don't. They just want some drama. We can't save everybody. Nobody can save everybody. And why would we think we could? Because everybody on this earth is different. Thank God. We are all different. We've just got to hope that it's not the people that we talk to, it's the people who listen, who go out and talk to other people. That's what we want to achieve, and get a bigger choir, as I've always said. It's all right as talking to the people that listen all the time or share videos all the time. And on that note, I just want to say hello to Carl, a friend of mine who asked for a link to tonight's show. And I sent it to him and just said, hope you enjoy it. So what I want to do, a couple of weeks ago on a Friday night, Jason sent me a message, a drunken message, and said, shall we go on Raconteurs News Live and just see what we talk about? I was equally as drunk, so we did. And it's had some comments, and a couple of things that people have commented on is there should be less swearing so that people will listen. Well, yeah, take that on board, but we were drunk. But also,
that's why it's after dark.
Yeah, it's after dark.
It's a late night thing. We've had a drink, we're all loose up, we can talk about anything. There's no agenda. We've got nothing to stick to. So it was just it's just a little bit of an idea. I know we do swear quite a lot on this show. In fact, somebody sent me an email the other day saying, you're swearing far too much, and so I replied and told them to fuck off. So it's all we do is we do what we do, and we don't. There's no airs and graces, shall we say?
I think it's because it just genuinely comes from the heart, doesn't it? I think that's. None of us claim to be professional broadcasters or whatever. It's just what it is. It's from the heart, and it's for all the best reasons. But another thing that people had asked was, I'm always talking about these 13 families who own everything. They own the banks and blah, blah. And people say, all right, then who are these families? Well, you can just Google it. You can look on the Bilderberg list. But if you want, I'll read them out to you. You're going to know some of them. The Russell family, the Rockefeller family, the Rothschild family, Astor family, Bundy, Collins, who was actually one of the astronauts. Well, Astor actors or whatever they were. DuPont, Freeman family, Kennedy, and I do mean that Kennedy, Lee family, that's obviously Chinese, Onassis, Reynolds, and Van Dunn. They are the supposedly 13 Illuminati families. obviously, there are other families who are all interbred, etc., etc. And then, of course, you've got the blue bloods, the Saxe-Coburg Gotha or Guelph or whatever the British not royal family want to call themselves. And the reason I call them the not royal family, the reason I call the Queen Beryl, is because officially she is a European citizen, just like me and just like you. So, and the word united, as in United Kingdom, means no citizen. So if she's a citizen of Europe, she can't also be the head of state of a no citizen kingdom. Look it up yourself, don't believe me. And yet there's still this big pomp and circumstance. And she gets 2 birthdays.
Well, why not? I mean,
exactly.
2 birthdays, yeah. But one of them's in April and all, isn't it? Oh God,
I don't know.
Oh yeah.
No idea.
It's 22nd after. I think it's after her. It's around the same time as her cousin Adolph's.
Yeah.
Birthday, where he were 23rd, weren't he? 23rd of April. So all best people born in April, mate. Honestly.
Well, yeah, the second best have been March, but anyway. Last time I was on, and I don't mean on the After Dark ones, Jason, you said to me, and I didn't really answer the question very well. What do I think of fake news? Well, I think fake news is it's a loosely used term to describe, well, by the mainstream media who want to discredit something in exactly the same way that people would use the term, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. It's that sort of description of somebody, or that sort of description of somebody's writing or a piece of news. But really, it's there just to discredit. And earlier today, I was trying to think of what was the first. And what I mean by that is we find ourselves at the moment with more and more and more video channels on YouTube, for instance, having either video removed or if you search for it, it just won't be found. It's not exactly been taken down, but you'll just not find it. And this has come from, David Icke and TR and lots and lots and lots of others. And I know Vinny last night, he was talking about how his channel had been arrested.
Well, it's been restricted, hasn't it? There's certain restrictions been put upon it.
Yeah, and in Vinny's own words last night, he was basically he was shitting himself, scared to death that 10 years' work he was going to lose. And I'm thinking in my brain, thinking...
In your brain? Really?
Well, I said we'd be talking in loose terms. When did all this kind of start, or when was the trigger, or what sort of happened? And I can remember who was the Muslim guy with the hook?
Abu Hamza or something like that.
Yeah, in Luton, wasn't he?
He was somebody we were talking about everywhere, weren't he? He got his own car. He got his monocle and something in.
That's right.
Clearly just set up. Yeah,
but I can remember, and whether you think that was true, whether you think it was false flag, whether you think it was I hate to use that, the powers that want to be using what he was going to do anyway, or setting him up to do whatever you believe.
Well, let me just say before you go on. What I think he is, and what purpose he served. He served to sow the seeds of what we've got now with your Tommy Robinsons and UKIP, and he sowed the seeds for all this division, so that everything that's opposed to the status quo is racist. Brexit is racist. Fuck knows how, but it's fucking racist. Sorry, it's racist. Do apologise, Mr. Oh yeah, I think his name was Webster, the guy that complained about the. Oh no, the guy that called me. Oh, I didn't tell you about this today. Sorry, I know this is going off on a tangent, but somebody on one of the comments from last night called me a Wendy, which is a derogatory term for a Sheffield Wednesday supporter from a Sheffield United supporter. We call them the Blunts, and they call us Wendy's. And so somebody on the comments called me a Wendy. Yes. You've got to love it, haven't you? I think his name was Webster. Yeah, but getting back to the main point, when that Abu Hamza thing were out, and and it was how come he can preach. It made people victims. It made people think, well, like, he can do what he wants, and he's in this country, and he's got his 6-bedroom house on benefits, and it's all about making somebody a bogeyman. And then you get this other. Then what happens is you get like not an alternative, a counter to that, and that begins to rise because the people in this country, the people that were already in this country before we were in EU, or the people that came here, even after we were in EU, the ones that are British citizens now, everybody's put into like this defensive mode. So then on the other side you get and it's just a never-ending left-right libtard against perceived far right. I mean, me and Webby have been called far right, and we've been called lefties. It just tells you everything, doesn't it? As long as people can pop you in a little box, then they're happy. They can, as long as if you don't fit in that box, people are uncomfortable, which is probably why we've got so few viewers.
Well, yeah. I think what made me think of Abu Hamza was that was the first time I can remember people going, "Oh, he can't be allowed to say that. There should be a law against this." And of course, now there is. And at that point, I can remember thinking to myself, "Hang on a minute, careful what you wish for here, because if you stop somebody saying something, then by the same rule, you must also stop the right to reply." So now what we have, as you quite rightly say, people pitched against each other, a million ways they can divide the population, and people they can either put in place or nutters who are already there that they can use to make the point they want to get across. And we end up with a case where actually for thinking something, you've got your YouTube channel removed. You've got all your social media taken away. You've got a body of work that people can't find and discuss and use. All because somebody decided we've got to have a law against somebody being able to say something. We are in a post-free speech society. There is no such thing as free speech.
Well, there is, isn't there? There's such thing as free speech, because I'll say what the fuck I want, and someone will say to me, "Well, you can't say something racist." I said, "Well, yeah, because I said I'll say exactly what I want, and I don't want to say something racist. It's fucking ridiculous." But people, it's self-censorship. People, I know you say you can't say anything, but that's only if you've got something to lose. You know what I mean? If you've got something to lose, then you perhaps censor yourself. Whereas I've got no to lose. As far as I'm concerned, I've got nothing to lose. So I'll say what I want. I'll say what I want. I'll say how I want it. How I want it. I want to say it. And I'm not going to go, "Oh, I don't care. Oh, I piss off. One of these fucking." Look, it's not about that, is it? It's if you don't want to listen to what I've got to say, or if you don't agree with me, don't listen. It's fine. It's absolutely fine. Everything's fine. If you've got a different opinion, then you start your own little platform, and you go on and you put your ideas out there and see how they go. Talk to people. I do this as a lot of it's therapy, and a lot of it is to save my wife from having to listen to me. Because I'm still now. Whenever we just can't watch telly together, it's just impossible. We have to turn sound down when adverts come on. You know, every single advert that comes on, I'm pointing out that, you know, we're getting lectured in diversity again and again and again and again and again, because you watch TV and every single advert, it's a, you know, a black woman and a white man, or vice versa, or the gay or the lesbians or the, you know, fucking hell, do we want, man? Why do I have to be lectured about it? Why do I have to be made to feel that if I'm not comfortable with it, there's something wrong with me? That's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous situation that we've found ourselves in. But like Webby always says, we've allowed this. We've allowed it to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
When I was a kid, right, well, I was on the street at 8:30 in the morning, and I got a surface-to-air missile launcher on my shoulder and a bazooka on other shoulder, and a copper came up to me and he said, "Oh, now then, clip me right here," and took me home and made me not. See what I mean? I'm just being like, it's just gone all fucking tits up. Ade, speak, man, for God's sake.
Yeah, I think with the Abel Hamza thing, and for me that was what started all this off. It was the very, very thin edge of an incredibly thick wedge. It really was the thin end, because once you actually bring in a law where, you know, you can't say this, you can't say that, you can't say whatever, then you're not just taking the voice of one, you're taking the voice of everybody. But as always, the powers that want to be use that to their advantage, because what they then do, they'll use it as an excuse to take down what they call fake news off any kind of platform, you know, whether it be social media or YouTube or whatever, because it's not the narrative that they want you to follow. So in other words, you're not allowed to think anything unless the big voice, big brother, call it whatever you want, wants you to believe it. And if your own brain starts clicking in and goes, hang on a minute, what's all that about? And you start to search for other stuff, it either won't be there at all, or if you put it there, it'll get taken down. Now, if that's not Big Brother 1984, and that doesn't scare you, then it should. It really should, because that's where we are. And I heard a really, really, really good quote. It might even have been Vinny last night. The trouble is, I listened to that much good stuff. There's a couple of things I've heard in the past few days that really, really struck home. Max Egan said, and he says it a lot, you know, don't judge the people who want to rule this world by your own standards, because they are maniacs. You're not. So you don't think that, well, no, surely nobody would do that. Well, you might not, but they bloody well will. You know, it's like all this 5G stuff. If you can go on the DARPA website and they'll tell you which of these weapons have been copyrighted that are part of the 5G network that's busy being installed at the end of your road on a lamppost. You know, this is out there for you to read. Go and read it. It's there. You know, all this stuff is there to read if you go and read it. But when you've got this thin end of an incredibly thick wedge where people aren't allowed to say or think or discuss something, I knew I would see that day, but I honestly didn't think it'd be this soon. I really, really didn't. And another quote I heard the other day was, and they were talking about the CIA, but you could say it about any of the government-fed, government-led of any country almost organizations. And that's that they were originally formed to fight the enemy or to discredit the enemy in some way, whether it was through false flag, whether it was through whatever. But now it's not another country that's the enemy. It's us. We are the enemy. We're the enemy. That's how they see us.
Yeah, I think Vinny was saying something along those lines last night.
It was Vinny, was it? The trouble is, I'll listen to stuff all day. Before they take it all down, I'm trying to get my head full, you know.
Well, fucking hell, it's that's going to take some doing, mate. That is going to take some doing.
It is really, yeah.
But yeah,
You know,
Vinny were going along them lines, and I noticed that it's now when we talk about you know how we talk about how we I mentioned how we self-censor, and we sort of try not to associate things that we've got to lose with things that we say that might be a little bit controversial. I noticed Max Egan had put up, I don't know if you'd seen his video, the video of the Christchurch. It was analysis of the Christchurch video that had been supposedly live streamed on Facebook.
okay.
And he did analysis of that, and he named it Christchurch, How They Did It. And I noticed today that he's took that down, and he put a video up saying, I've taken it down because I believe I'll probably get another strike on my YouTube account. And if I get another strike on my YouTube account, that means that I'm going to be, I'm going to be completely restricted. And like Vinny said last night, you can't tell people that you've been restricted. You're not allowed to use the channel at all. Once you get restricted, you're not allowed to tell people why you can't use it. So then you're having to start again from scratch. And I know it wouldn't take long for people to work it out and find Max Egan, but then they just keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it. And it's another way. It's a way that they psychologically get us to self-censor. Even someone like Max Egan, who is I believe he believes everything that he's talking about, and I believe that I believe he's genuine in what he says. But even he's having to self-censor, and he's willing to do that.
Yeah, and I think it's not a case of willing. I think it's a case of having to, because in order to get, we all need a platform. And sadly, at the moment, it's YouTube. That is the platform that almost, the majority of people are using. All this stuff's been taken down because, or like you say, self-censored. And it's the thought police. It's gradually getting in here. We're not allowed to think this, and we're not allowed to think that, and we must think this, and we must think that. And there's so much of it going on, more than you think. And I mean, I notice it, but I guarantee the people who sat and watched the BBC News tonight, they don't notice it, because to them it's just normal. Because they don't believe that the BBC is a mouthpiece for the government, and they just don't, because it's not where their head's at.
Well, if you've just joined us, it's 25 to 8, and you're listening to Raconteurs News with me, Jason Holmes. I've got my old mate with me, and we're having a chat tonight. Unfortunately, our guest has had to cancel on us. That sounds terrible, like to cancel on us. It sounds like no, she's had to cancel. She's got something pressing that she needs to attend to. So hopefully we'll have Ann Marie Carey, and we touched on 5G just then, but tonight, and there's no Webby as well, because Webby's shift pattern has disrupted us. And he's not allowed. I've sent him the link, so if he gets home at any point during the show and he wants to jump on, then he should just jump on. And I noticed Andy's in the chat room as well, Andy Young. If you want, mate, if you want to jump on, Andy, just let me know and I'll send you the link, and then you can come on and have a little chit chat with myself and Ade. And do you know something? I really like talking to you, Ade. Do you know why I like talking to you?
Go on.
Well, first of all, you're my truth child, and secondly, you're far enough removed from all the total bollocks that goes on. I mean, we use Facebook, to promote it. I use Facebook to promote the show. And that's pretty much all I use it for. I did share a memory that I did share a memory today. I've got to tell you this. I thought this was hilarious. This was from 2013, and it was a memory, a status that I'd put up on Facebook, and it said, "My daughter is taking today. My daughter is taking her friend to the clap clinic. When I was a kid in the Easter holidays, I was building a den." Right, right, and I looked in the comments of it, and my daughter Emmy had put underneath, "Dad, seriously?" And I put, "Yes."
Jason, I don't know for everybody else.
Oh yeah, so yeah. Yeah, so I got my mate Ade in, but you don't get caught up in all that bollocks that's on Facebook. You're completely immune to it, and
Yeah.
that's why I do like talking to you, and you see various things, but you're not immersed in it, and I know that you can see what's going on. So that's one of the reasons that I like to sit and just have a chinwag with you.
Well, I try very, very hard not to watch the news. I do end up in my customers' homes when the news is on, so I get what I call the top of the pyramid news. I don't get all the shit underneath. I just get probably the top 2 or 3 headlines every day is what I'm aware of. And if ever there was a time for me to say to you, I told you that there is no democracy, your vote does not count, it's now. Because we've got 650 of the most incompetent tossers ever fucking elected sat there who can't even decide which pair of socks they want to wear. And what was it, 17.5 million people voted to come out of Europe almost 2 years, 9 months, or 2 years, 10 months ago, something like that. And between then and now, they've achieved exactly nothing. Nothing. And they're doing whatever they can to dilute it so that it's going to be an exit from Europe in name only, or it's not going to happen at all, or they'll just keep asking us in another referendum and another referendum until they get the answer they want, just like they did in Ireland. And if ever there was people are still sat watching the BBC and thinking, "Well, I can't wait for them elections to come round, Mavis. We'll have to have another vote." Well, the last one did you a lot of good, didn't it? Not. If ever there was a time to realise that voting is pointless, it's now. And you may think, "Oh, well, if you don't vote, you don't have a say." I want to. The reason I'm bringing this up is because I got this through the post. I think it was yesterday. I'll come to that in a minute. I know I've covered this before, but I'm going to do it again. When you register something, you give up legal title to it. We know this is true because you register your car, and then if you don't pay your road tax, they'll lift your car, put it on the back of a wagon and crush it. If it was really yours, they couldn't do that because that would be theft. Okay? But because you've registered your car with DVLA, you don't own it. You're just responsible for it. DVLA actually own it because you signed it over. You registered it. So when you, by the way, when you register your kids, that's why they can take your kids off you as well. Just thought I'd throw that one in the pot. So when you register your vote or register to vote, you get your vote and you throw it in the pot with everybody else's, where it gets so far diluted, it means nothing. I've still got my vote. So if my MP or whatever says they want to do something, I can write to them and say, "Not in my name, you're not." Now, you might think that that's feeble. I wouldn't particularly want to, but I get the electoral register. Now, they know who actually lives in my house because I've told them before. They're aware of it. Now, I had, when you register to vote, this is what happens. They send you a brown envelope, and on well, Jason, sorry, is Danielle going? Oh God, he's not going through this again, is he?
No, actually, I just said to Danielle in my hinty way, have you got the number of a good barmaid? Because so, there you go.
Right. Okay. So what your local council will do is send you a brown envelope. Now, in order for anybody to do business with you, an envelope sent to you where they're requesting business must have three things. It must have a name on it. It must have a correct address on it. And on the outside of the envelope, it must have a return address, which must be a brick building, not a PO box. It must be a building you can physically walk into. So what your local council do, they send you a brown envelope and they say, please register to vote, don't you know, because if you don't, you'll lose your vote. Okay. And in that, well, on the front of that envelope, it says occupier. There's no name on it. It says the occupier. Okay, well, when you were at school, they taught you about occupied France, occupied Europe, the occupied territories. It's a term of war. Now, because you then open this envelope, which, by the way, the return address on the outside is a PO box and always is a PO box. So that's two lots of mail fraud because it's not got your name on it and it's not got a return address on it. They all they do, they send you an envelope full of all the tools you need to ask them for a contract. So they didn't ask for it, you did. So you fill in the form in black dead man's ink in capital letters so they can capitalize on your name and on your signature. Everything is in boxes so that any box can be lifted and put into a different document. Don't believe me, Google it, have a read, do whatever you want. Because anything that's within a box can't be considered. So it's just taken away at their convenience, not yours, of course. But you fill all this form in and you write on it your name, well, what you think is your name, and your spouse and your partner, your kids and whatever, you tell them exactly who's living there. And then you send it back to them and you ask them for a contract. And because of that, they put you on this register and they sell all that information to all these marketing companies. And then they want you to be on jury service. Now, I decided a long time ago, I didn't want any part of this. I don't want to vote in your stupid elections anyway, because it means nothing to me. I don't believe in the state. It's a religion. And what happened was I got this, they kept sending me these things. So I just kept writing big brown envelope, recorded for fraud, returned to sender, just kept chucking it back in the post. And eventually this woman wrote to me, knocked on my door on a Saturday morning after she'd hand-delivered about another 3 of these over about 3 or 4 weeks. So I had this lady knocked at my door, and when I opened the door, she said, electoral register. Me being me, went, shopping list. And she said, I beg your pardon. I went, sorry, I thought you wanted to play a word association game. What do you want? She said, I'm from the electoral register. I said, well, I'm from Scunthorpe. And she said, what do you mean? I went, well, what do you want? Well, you've got to fill this in. You've got to fill this in. And I went, no, I haven't. Well, you have, because if you don't, they'll take you to court. I said,
Oh, no, man, have you frizzed up? I think he's frizzed up. Oh, I've frizzed up. Oh, there we go. Are you back, Ade? Oh, are you back? Ooh. Are you back? Oh my God, he's playing musical statues now on Sky. It doesn't really work on Google Hangouts, musical statues, man. Right, we lost you for a bit there.
Did we?
Yes, we lost you. We got up to I don't know. Shopping list. Yes, shopping.
Yeah.
Let's go from shopping list.
Shopping list. Sorry, we'll cut this in the edit later.
Yeah. We're not that professional.
Yeah. And so, and she said, I said, what do you want? She said, I'm from the electoral register. You've got to fill this in. What? You're telling me what I've got to do with this? I don't think so. Well, you've got to fill it in. So what happens if I don't fill it in? Well, they'll take you to court. So who are they going to take to court? She said, you. I said, who am I? She says, I don't know. So I said, exactly. Fuck off. And shut the door. Now, since then, that was 2-3 years ago. What happens now is, the last one was on a Saturday morning, I could hear this rustling at my front door. And I'm looking and I realised that she was really, really quietly trying to shove these things through me letterbox in order for me not to hear it until she'd gone. So I rushed to the front door, I actually grabbed my dressing gown because I was in the bathroom trying to have a shave. Grabbed a dressing gown or a towel, ran. And by this time, she got in the car and she was halfway down the road and I'm going, come back, come back. But it just shows you they don't want to even engage with you once you call it out for what it is. And then yesterday, I got this. You can probably see my address on it. Not that I'm bothered. I suppose I ought to put a line through it. Hang on a minute. Here we go. There we go. Right. I got this. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Just a card. Just a card. And I'm going to read this to you because it's hilarious. Right. Property address and then my address. No one is registered to vote. So it just sounds like dun, dun, dun. Like shocking. Your vote matters. Don't lose it. Okay. Northeast Derbyshire empty property notification card. So they've written to me to notify me that my property is empty. It's not because I'm in it. Anyway, according to our records, we don't have anyone registered to vote at this property. Tough shit. If this property is used as a holiday or second home, is a commercial premises, if the occupier, you're not an occupier, is temporarily away, or if all of the occupants are ineligible to register to vote due to their nationalities, then you do not need to do anything. Okay? If someone does live at the property and is eligible to register to vote, please see overlay for details on how to register. Then comes the frighteners, because when you flip it over, it says, important. If you are not registered to vote, you may not be able to, and here's the list, get a mobile phone contract. You may not be able to apply for a store card or credit card. You may not be able to buy from a mail order catalogue. You may not be able to apply for a mortgage. You may not be able to open a bank account, and you may not vote in the May election. All these are problems anyone aged over 17 living at this address will have to face. All because their name does not appear on the electoral register. And then there's it's easy to put it right. Log on to www. It just takes a few minutes. Sort it out, please. The deadline for registering. So what they do, they try to force you into it. And when you call them out, they run down the road. And then they send you a thing to try and frighten you into it. Well, I'm not, and I'm not. So why would you want to be on a stupid register? Just you know,
so they know who you are and where you are, and then they can snoop into your business. You know what that's like? That's what these councils are. We've got council elections. We've had our polling cards come through. I'll show you the back of them. But it's like they've given up on me. They don't send me one anymore because I just don't talk to them. You know, and so yeah, it's all a scam, and it's all maybe and mind, and it's all the language is all God, Jesus Christ, Webby's going to be like wringing his hands saying, God, I need to, oh, it's commercial property, you can't, it's classed as commercial property. I know he's going to be sat there.
Well, yeah, I mean, hey, listen, I can get into that if you want, because it's like with oh, that was right. 2-3 years ago, the water thing. They said, oh, well, if you don't have a water meter, it goes on the rateable value of your property. So I said, it's a residential property. How can it possibly have a rateable value? Only commercial property has a rateable value. And the girl on the end of the phone said, What? Now, how many times a day does she say to somebody what she said to me? Oh, well, yeah, if you don't have a water meter fitted, it goes on the rateable value of the property. Because she's been told to say it, she doesn't know what a rateable value is or what it applies to. But it's the same old story. If they say your property's got a rateable value and you don't say, no, it hasn't, then it has. Because you've accepted it.
Yeah, like I said, Webby's just going to be going nuts here because we're probably making so many different mistakes. But yeah, it's it is. We need to get away from this. When somebody knocks on the door and they show you a lanyard with a photograph of them on and like some poxy title like voting enforcement officer. We need to be able to be grown up and grow up. And this Webby's been saying this recently. I've been saying this for God knows how long. We need to grow up. We need to not be scared of that person. Don't just shut the door, man. Just shut the door. You know.
I had a customer who is a great guy. And I don't know if you remember, Jason, but I rang you one day and I said, Jace, what do you think to this? One of my customers he's got a guy who's on about lifting his car. And I can't remember what the reason was. And Jason just said, well, tell him to go sit in it. So that's exactly what he did. And because of health and safety, they didn't lift his car. He just sat in there with a bottle to wee in and a flask of tea for about 4 hours and listened to the radio, you know? And, you know, they couldn't lift his car. Anyway, I'm sure at some point after that, something else happened, but that's the last that I knew of it. But this same guy rang me up and he went, hey, he said, I've got a fine from TV licensing. Can you help me? And I said, what happened? Well, a few weeks ago, this woman knocked on the door and my wife let her in. And she walked up to the telly, picked up the remote control, flicked through all the channels, and wrote this report out, left us a copy of it. Then we got this letter telling us we were going to go to court, and we ignored that. Then we got this other thing telling us something else, and we ignored that. And then I've got a fine for 400 and some odd pounds, including court costs. What do you think I should do? I just said, get a new wife who's not going to let anybody into your fucking house. Because, you know, if they knocked on my door, which they're not anymore, but if they did, all they're going to get is, no, goodbye. You know, an Englishman's home is his castle. It is.
You don't have to be rude, though, do you? You don't have to be rude. I mean,
no, of course you don't.
You get people coming to the door and asking you questions and things like that. And yeah, I've got this. Well, I'll talk about that another time. It's a completely different thing. Let's have a look what's going. Oh God, I keep burping. Let's see what's going on in chat room. New beings in there. Eric Cookie Munster, you're on benefits, Jason. That's why they don't send them to you anymore. No, to be fair, I'm not actually. I'll just get PIP. I don't get any universal credit or whatever it is. Anything for being unemployed. It's just for not having a leg. That's the only thing I get. So I don't think that really counts. Ron Malcolm's in there. Tony, Jock Thompson's dog. Nice one. Top Jock Thompson's dog. What a great name. What an absolute great name. If you've not met my dog, he's about somewhere. He's got a bit of a poorly foot. We've not been able to take him for a walk for a few days. It's this shitty park. It's where we live. Where we live is it's just there's a lot of it's shit, shall I say? It's a shithole around us, everywhere around, and mostly a shithole. Good people, but just a shithole. You know, you get kids fucking things up. And I take Watson on my mobility scooter when I take him out. I take him to a park, and I throw a ball for him and do stuff like that. But the only problem is that there's all sorts of bits of glass on there and shit like that, and it's doing me fucking head in because it really loves a walk and it's really good. I'm going to have to just start taking him to Erdings as long as he stops attacking old ladies at Erdings Park. I like it at the other place because it's quiet and there's very rarely any other dogs or any other people. And to be fair, he has got a lot better, and he's not so vicious with dogs anymore. It's just people. So I'm probably going to have to be taking him there. So he's not been out for a walk for a few days. How's your dog sitting going? I don't know whether it's a dog sitting or a dog napping. You seem to have him more than they do.
Yeah, I noticed. Well, I know some of you know that I used to have joint custody. Well, my ex and I had. There was a family dog, technically belonged to her 80-odd-year-old mum, called Rodney, who I loved to bits. Anyway, she moved to Liverpool in October and told me that I couldn't have Rodney overnight anymore once she'd gone, which basically meant that I just couldn't see him anymore. Other than driving all the way to Liverpool for 10 minutes of, I don't know, petting in somebody else's house, that's all I got to look forward to. So I just thought it was easier, but very sad that I couldn't have Rodney anymore. Anyway, noticed one of my neighbours had got different members of the family coming to let their dog out. So I went to put a note through the door, but she actually caught me walking through the gate and looked very shocked to find this big, scary, horrible guy stood there with a note in his hand, which basically said, "Can I steal your dog whenever you're not able to look after him?" So I offered him a doggy sitting service. Long story short, about 4 weeks ago now, Rolo is a 1-year-old cockapoo who's just decided he's turned into a teenager. Is the cuddliest, fluffiest pain in the arse you could ever mention. But I look forward to every moment that I'll spend with him. And thankfully, I've got him tomorrow. So, yeah, we all need something fluffy to play with. You might need to unmute your mic.
I know. I'm doing an Andy, aren't I? I've gone all out. I popped in chat room earlier on there if he wanted to join us, that he could, but he's liking not being on. I think it's the way that he put it, or something like that. Anyway, he's enjoying nobody knowing who he is or whatever. But even though everyone in chat room knows who he is and can poke him with sticks at any time. So, but in the second hour, I'm sending out for Super Leeds. Super Leeds is going to come on and join us and give us his take on stuff. It's Raconteurs News Tuesday night. It's the 2nd of April 2019. I'm Jason Owens. I've got Ade Hardy with me, and we have been talking, well, just about general stuff. Ade's the sort of bloke that he needs slogans on his wall. He needs to be able to look and get inspired to go to work, whereas I'm the sort of person that just needs to sit on the settee, recline, and then that's good enough for me. So anyway, I'm going to play a record. In the second hour, we're going to have Super Leeds coming on and joining us. He's going to be, he assures me he's not been drinking too much. Whether we can believe that or not, but we're going to have him on anyway. He's a good lad, and he sent Wilson a present today as well. So I think we should get him on to thank him for that. Right, I'm going to play a record, and then we'll be back with Super Leeds and Ade Hardy. There we go. That's Heath Dweft and Flag Day. It's a cover of the old version, a cover of the old House Martin song. I keep looking at the frigging. I don't know how you do it, Eric Cookie Munster, but he's able to look at the chat room and still be able to talk. But for me, it's multitasking. I just simply can't do it. We've not got Leeds turned up at the moment. I've sent him a couple of links. I'm hoping that he's going to be able to get here. But we have had somebody else. Ron Malcom wants to come on as well. So if you put into the chat. Or if you send us a Gmail, an email, or something like that, we will be able to get you on the. I'll be able to send you an invite. So I just need an email from you, Ron. I'll send you an invite, and you should be able to get on as long as you've got Chrome on your computer or the device that you're going to use. You'll have Chrome. It's pretty simple to get on one of these. Oh, here we go. I think somebody just arrived. Somebody just arrived. It's Super Leeds, I think. Leeds, are you there, my friend?
Hello.
Hello.
How are you doing?
It's not a very good picture of you, mate. Well, it is actually. It's probably the best.
Sorry,
Yeah, well, you know.
I need to move me. There you go.
There we go. That's loud. You've got a loud thing going on.
Hey.
You've got a loud thing going on. And where are you near someone that's going on?
I just need to sort me volume out, I think. All right. Yeah.
Can't hear you, Ade. You're muted, mate.
Yeah, it sounds like you've got the cooker hood blowing behind you.
It is actually. Yeah. Shit, I was supposed to.
Are you going then, Super Leeds? How did you know?
All right, mate.
You know, I got some right bollocks for that off some blunts, you know, on the comments, calling me a Wendy just because I said that I preferred Leeds to win. But you see, like I should have said to him.
I saw that comment. I saw that comment.
Yeah, exactly. I thought to myself.
Did you see that comment where someone said, "I'll give you some advice. Don't swear as much. More people may listen."
yeah. We were talking about that, Ade. I'm just going to have a look. See if Ade, have you met Super Leeds before?
Yeah, with I think.
Oh man,
was on a show before.
Again. Ade seems to be having problems tonight. And you, Super Leeds.
I'm all right.
Oh, you're all right. Okay.
I just have moved.
Okay. All right. We were trying to get Ron Malcom. If someone sends me his email, I'll be able to. Ron
Malcom supposed to be coming on.
Yeah, he said he wanted to come on. He wanted to give a bit of a perspective. What are you doing? Keep bending over and doing something. You need to sit still. It's a lot better for it. Sit still. This is your media training. This is Super Leeds.
Okay.
For when we have you as the Raconteurs News Leeds correspondent. Anyway, you two guys talk to each other while I just try to run Malcom.
Right, Super Leeds, you said you wanted to come on. What's on your mind?
I don't know.
Oh, for God's sake. What do you mean you don't know? You come on to a talk show and you've got no idea what to talk about.
Who's that behind you? You've been robbed.
I don't think so. I haven't been heard, if anything.
Yeah.
So you've got note that you want to talk about, right? Let's. What did you think to last night's show? What did you think to last night's show? Go on, give some your critique.
I don't know whether he's correct.
What do you mean? You don't know whether it's correct? No.
It's his laugh that gets me.
His laugh.
Yes.
Okay.
It's fake. It's laugh. You can't laugh like that in real life, can you?
I don't know. I don't know. I know people that laugh in many different ways. But then again, we've got a guy who were on at 7 o'clock in the morning, his time, and he got a suit on and he was stood up throughout the whole thing. So I don't know whether it's...
Why does he stand up? I wanted to ask him that. Why does he stand up?
Well, I can tell you why people stand up when they broadcast. We used to do it.
Has he got piles, didn't he?
No. What it is, a lot of radio presenters do it. And the reason you do it is because you are actually more... your diaphragm's extended, so your voice can be better and clearer. But also, you tend to stay more alert because you are when you're not slouched. And that's why a lot of people do it. Certainly 99% of voiceover, I wouldn't probably say not audio books, but all the adverts and stuff like that, it's all recorded, stood up. Every time I did one, always stood up.
Well, that's... you've really brought something to this... To this conversation. We were going all right, and then you wanted to come on. What's hang on. Have you been on ale?
No. I'm all right.
Well, what do you keep doing to the side? You keep going to the side and things like that, and you don't seem to be concentrating.
I'm skinning up.
Oh, you're skinning up, are you? All right. Well, we'll let you off for that. Anyway, listen, Ron Malcom, if you're out there, can you please show me a way to get on here, please, or Webby even. Yes, Webby's just turned up in the chat room.
Oh no, not Webby!
Hallelujah! Oh dear me. Right. So Ron, what's his face? Ron Malcom. For God's sake, give me some fucking way that I can get in touch with you and send you an invite. And I know you've got Hangouts. I know you've got it. I know everyone's got it. If you've got Chrome on your device, then you can use a Hangout. It's not a problem. I just need a way to invite you or to get this to you, and I can't this link to you because I can't put it in the chat room, because if I put it in the chat room, what will happen is then everybody who's in the chat room will come on the fucking show. That will be just nuts, won't it? It'll just be nuts.
Probably a bit more entertaining than it is at the moment.
Arguing after 5 fucking minutes, like married couples always do. Just Ron, just somehow, let me know. Send me an email to jasonholmes98@aol.com, and then I've got your email, and then I can send you an invite. That's all I ask of you. Please save us now. It's the Save Us Now. We could have been talking about this tonight, couldn't we? The Save Us Now party. That's what I should start. Is every time I get Super Leeds on, I should start the Save Us Now party. Please. And
I'll give you a nosebleed. I'll give you a nosebleed.
Oh no.
Right,
but it's the Save Us Now part. We were going to be talking about that with Ann Marie Carey tonight, but unfortunately she's not been able to come. So we've got a substitute, Super Leeds at the moment, and hopefully we're going to get Ron Malcom on as well. Webby's in there.
So did Watson's jacket fit him all right?
It did. Yes, it did. It did, Stuart.
I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. I went to Home Bargains. Do you have a Home Bargains near you?
Yes, yeah.
Right. I went to Home Bargains to buy a jacket for Watson and didn't have one. And then I went on eBay and I thought, do they do football shirts for dogs? And I looked at that and I went, Jesus Christ. And it is an actual football shirt, isn't it? It was 2005, 2007, apparently.
Oh, was it? Oh, I knew it was back in the day because it was around.
Yeah.
Can I just say that amazingly, we've still got the same amount of people who are listening.
Amazingly, yeah, because we're talking about Watson. Everybody loves an animal story, and Super Leeds sent Watson a lovely gift today. I thought to myself, what? I knew you would send in something, but I thought this is. I had no idea what it were, and then it said on it Dr. Watson.
I know.
The address and everything, and
Well,
I got it out. I thought
this is. Didn't he send me this?
St. Pauli.
Yeah, didn't he send me this? And I'm going to send him some Coleman's mustard.
Well, that's what our community is all about. Is people say, "Can somebody send me some CBD oil, please?" I'm missing it like mad, and I can't get it anywhere.
Where's Andy anyway?
The what? Sorry.
Where's Andy?
I would imagine he's sat at his desk pissing himself, glad that he's not sat here where I am.
I know.
You know, doing this with crashing.
Dealing with customers like me.
Let's see if I've got an email yet. Refresh, please. Refresh. Be an email. No, nobody. So anyway, let's Ade. Let's meet you.
Yeah.
What? I don't want you to use any stereotypes, Ade, but I'd like you to give us which of the 64 genders do you think Super Leeds is?
I'm fluid.
What? Fluid? I think he's probably A, B, C, D, E, F, G, GTB.
I fuck all the girls.
You see, that is a good point because, you know, I'm always talking about there's 1,000,001 ways they can dissect or divide the population or the sheep or we don't live in countries, we live in farms. So, you know, if they can keep the animals arguing amongst each other, that's what they're trying to achieve. And so the more ways there are to divide and conquer us, the better. And that's what all this is about. You know, and they just... It's even the words like when I say they. I hate saying that, but I don't know what else to use because, you know, the powers that want to be, all they want is as many ways to divide us, because the more ways they divide us, the easier it is to conquer and confuse. Because that's all they want to do. They want to confuse us so that nobody realizes what's really going on. That's the whole idea. That's what they want.
Oh, God. My next door neighbour's got a fire going. And I can't really say out because I
Are
had one on.
Are they a pyromaniac?
Well, no, he's just got a fire going, get rid of some rubbish in garden. You know, not everything's got sinister undertones. You know that, don't you, Leeds?
No. I'm a pessimistic bastard.
Did you go to a match on Saturday?
Can't get a ticket, mate.
Can't you?
No.
Well, it's not what you know; it's who you know, and I know.
Right. What you know about who you know.
Get me a ticket and I'll go.
This is the truth. Right, we're trying to get Ron Malcom on. I'm still trying. Ron, I need your email address. Will you shut up while I'm talking? I need you on. I need you to somehow give me your email address, and in one way or the other, and I will send you an invite. We are desperate. We've had us. Andy turn his back on us. Webby's just got home and he's been at work, so he's going to be tired as well.
He's up with me.
And we've got Super Leeds on. And to be fair, it's more than a two-man job to keep him in line. So if you
I thought you'd invited Mr. Claypole.
Save everyone.
Oh, hang on, Ray. You two toys. Apparently, his email was in the chat.
I'll talk to Ed if you want. What's Thailand like?
Thailand's great. The reason I'm sort of considering going to live there is because I think I've got to the stage where stop the world I want to get off.
Yeah.
Is the only description I could use. And
right. I've
Thailand or Southeast Asia is probably about as close as you could get to that.
I've considered Iceland.
You've considered Iceland, yeah? Yeah. I'm sure there are other shops out there that sell frozen goods too.
Oh, Heron. Heron are doing well, aren't they, around here? You could go. He's already been being in bargains. He's told us. I love being in bargains. We love it, don't we? Is it home bargains?
Home bargains is good. I love home bargains.
Oh, right. Oh, no, we've not. We don't really do that. It's a bit, it's a bit déclassé for.
Can I just bring this back to something sensible that's worth listening to?
Okay.
Yeah. A conversation I had with somebody I class as very much a friend, and what he said to me was, when we sort of discovered that our brains work in a very similar way, and our line of thought is very similar, it became quite obvious quite quickly that both of us hadn't really talked to anybody at great length for such a very long time. And that is simply because that, it's not easy thinking how we do. And it's not easy.
No, it isn't.
Living in a world that you don't feel you belong in. Because I know I often feel like that. So I'm sure there's people listening to that who feel that, they're living in a world that they don't belong in, and that it's like an alien place that not that they don't understand, but doesn't understand them, and isn't made for them.
Yes.
This world is not meant for people who think like we're the big opposition. We are that massive opposition.
I've been told that I am mad, and it's not me that's mad.
Yeah,
it's every fucking else that's mad.
Yeah, agreed. I absolutely agree.
I am mad though, but so sorry, Jess.
I'm just trying to get Ron back on. Ron on.
Are you planning on retiring there then, Ade?
Yeah, and the reason is, the people who always say stuff about Thailand, clearly they've never been there. When was the last time I was a ladyboy?
I've not been there.
People who say that are the people who have.
I know we take this out here and that, but
yeah.
I'm not doing now.
No, I know you're not, mate.
I've got friends who've been there, and they say it's a beautiful country.
It is, and they're really nice people as well, which does mean a massive amount to me. But it's yes, they've got technology. Yes, they're getting good at it. So much so, when they've got a mobile phone, nobody buys mobile phone minutes. All they look for is data, because they all use something that's similar to WhatsApp. It's called Line, and they make calls on it and they send messages on it. Hardly anybody emails, only for business. They all use Line, which it's like WhatsApp.
You use what?
But
sorry, Line.
They use something called Line.
Line,
which is it's like WhatsApp, but it's what they use in Southeast Asia.
Okay.
And to them, when we like talking about phones and stuff, and they say, "You do what? You buy minutes?" They couldn't believe it, because what they do, they just get unlimited data, and you'll get in a cab, say from the airport, and the taxi driver will be talking to his wife on a headset for the whole hour and a half that you're in the car, because they're not on minutes, they're not on a package, they're on unlimited data, and they're all using this thing called line, which is just like WhatsApp for calls. So they're supposed to be the third world country. Trust me, they're not. They are not the third world country at all. There's a lot of stuff out there that's...
I never said they were a third world country.
Yeah. It's just, the way that, it's sort of thought of or portrayed or whatever. Now, I have literally got to the point where it is a case
how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 53.
What age are you planning on retiring? Do you know?
And I'm hoping to retire in a couple of years. But
Okay.
it does depend on things like bloody Brexit, because the exchange rate that I used to get when I went to Thailand has dropped by 20%.
Yeah.
Because we've got 650 of the most useless knobheads ever been bloody voted for, who can't even decide what colour socks they're going to wear between them.
Yeah.
So it is having it affects everybody, but it doesn't stop people like us feeling that we're living in a world that we don't belong in. And I know that there have been people who are part of this, oh God, call it a movement if you want, but people who think like us, who sadly are no longer with us because it just got too much for them.
We've got a comment in the chat room. We're still trying to get Ron Malcom on. I have managed to get into. Can you shut up while I'm talking? You keep interrupting me. I'm going to cut you off, man. I'm telling you. There's no prisoners here, no favoritism. No.
I'm joking, man.
Yeah, well, we're trying to get Ron on. I've sent him the invite. I just wanted to. Mahatma Levelance says. A mate of mine got bit by a monkey in Thailand and had rabies shots before he could travel again. Had to have rabies shots before he could travel again. Seems...
He shouldn't have gone to some dodgy... Listen, things are different out there. Health and safety don't exist.
Monkey. He got bit by a monkey? Is that what he said?
What he said, yeah.
Fucking hell.
Can you not swear?
Sorry.
We get done.
Friday night,
Come on. Anyway,
how would you get bit by a monkey? How would you get bit by a monkey?
We put your feet somewhere close to where a monkey's mouth is, and it bites you.
He deserves it then, doesn't he?
Well, I tell you what,
in monkey's mouth.
I am mad, and it's not me that's mad. Yeah, it's every fucking else that's mad.
It is Leeds.
Yeah.
Listen, Ron's joined.
Absolutely. I am mad, though.
It's not me that's mad. Everyone else is fucking mad.
So, sorry, Jess.
I'm just trying to get Ron back on. Ron on.
Are you planning on retiring there then?
I think so. I think we've got you. You're back up. If you could turn your YouTube, please.
We've never been, Well, I'm
that should get rid of it. Thank you, Ron. You're watching in the background, and we can hear it coming through the mic. So it's like 10 seconds later, and
yes,
Leeds, we're going to let you go simply because of bandwidth and that, and we're 4 of us on this call. So thanks for phoning in. We're going to have a southern perspective from Ron Malcom, and so any last words you want to say before you have to hop off?
No.
Cheers, mate. We'll speak to you soon. Speak to you again soon, pal. Thanks very much. Watson says thank you as well. I really, really appreciate it. I'm really touched by it.
No worries. No worries, mate.
Cheers, mate. Thanks a lot.
All right. Thank you.
And there we go. Right, Ron. Let's have a look what Ron's doing. Why have I got a loud thing again now? I just don't get that. Ade, what are you doing?
What am I doing?
Loud thing?
You what, sorry?
Can you hear that loud hissing noise?
Yeah, it's gone now.
It's going, isn't it? Right, well, let's get Ron on anyway. Ron, I'm going to unmute your microphone because you're muted at the moment because you were listening to the show, and there we go. Oh, for God's sake. You know what? This thing, it's terrible. Oh, there we go. That's what it is. It's still not getting Ron. Why are we not getting Ron? Oh, piss off, stupid thing. Right. Ron, can you unmute yourself, please? You've obviously got your mic muted at your end, so if you could press unmute. This is great stuff tonight, by the way, everybody. After Vinnie Eastwood last night, we have surpassed that. Ron, you need to unmute your mic, mate. Your microphone is muted. And it's not muted from my end, although I did do it. It's still...
Ron, waggle your mouse on your screen and it'll bring up some boxes. Just click on the red one.
Still can't hear you, Ron. Why? Can you turn it? There we go. Ron, good evening.
Yes, I have it.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Thanks for joining us, Ron.
It's Easter. I can see an egg.
We've only got top of it. We've only really got red.
Ball gets United, doesn't it?
What's on your mind, Ron?
I was going to say we've been conditioned from a early age. I mean, I'm an old git. I'm well older than probably you and even Ade.
Even Ade?
Even Ade, yeah. I love Ade.
Bless you, man.
Yeah, you're a great man. I mean, we're all should stick together. I mean, you're up north, I'm south. I mean, you can tell by my accent, you know. I mean, I was born in London, but we've all got to stick together.
Whereabouts are you now?
Sorry, Jace, I didn't hear that.
I'm just whereabouts? You said you were born in London, but whereabouts are you residing now? I mean, just a town, really.
Well, I'm going to say 17 miles north of London.
All right, okay, cool. And what have you found? You like, by your own admission, you're of a different generation to myself and even Ade, who was the oldest person I've ever known in my entire life, and I've had great grandparents. What changes have you seen over the years? What's the main thing for you? And just describe the life that you were used to back in a time, probably when we were growing up as kids, compared to today.
I could tell you my life story, which is a classic. Me, I mean, how many junior school children that got expelled at 8 or 9?
Yeah, loads.
For not following rules, or actually pulling the headmasters up for not following rules.
Right, so you were like that even back then when you were at school. You were expelled at
junior
school.
At junior school, yeah. I knew something was seriously wrong. You know when you know something's seriously wrong now, don't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I knew as a kid, right, that everything was just not going the way it should be. Yeah. No one should control anybody, should they?
No, of course not. No. I've got this saying that says. I've got this saying that if you try to impose your will on somebody else, then you're a piece of shit. And if you put on a uniform and you try to impose somebody else's will on somebody else, then you're a piece of shit's bitch. And I completely concur with that to the day I die.
Yeah, well, when did you work that out?
Well, I worked that out probably. It's probably something I've always known. It's something I've always had inside me. I've always had this rebellious. Well, I wouldn't say rebellious side. It would have been construed as rebellious, but people asking questions. That's what when you're in school and your teacher says something and you just put your hand up and you say, "Well, now that doesn't really work, does it?" And you explain and you say something and then they kick you out. You know what I mean? That's just like you say. It's conditioning, and there's very few of us who escape from that conditioning, who escape and are able to get away from the nonsense that's being fed into us. But you're one of them.
Can I tell you another
example of that?
Jason, can I tell you something?
Yeah.
I actually took my junior school children out on strike. Right now, we're talking down the south in London. We're not as rebellious as you up the north. I took the class of my children out on strike in 1967. On strike, we didn't like what we were doing. It never made any news. It never got anything else. But you can guess who got kicked out of school, can't you?
I certainly can.
Yeah.
I've got an identical story. I did it. Me and Heath, whose songs you hear on our show. Me and Heath did it at our comprehensive school, and we got 1,500 kids to walk out. And we ended up being. I got suspended for a couple of weeks. I think probably back in your day it was a little bit more disciplined in the 60s. So they would have had you straight out, and then probably getting you straight to work. I would imagine. Well, not from.
No, Jason, do you know what happened to me?
Go
on. I was stuck in a mental sort of a school system, where they thought that something was wrong with me. Can you believe it?
Oh, right. So, right, equivalent of like a special school, what we call today.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I went to a special, and then I went to a special school.
Okay.
And you shouldn't treat your people like that, should you? Nobody should be treated.
No, but conversely, people shouldn't be treated the same either. Exactly the same. You know, understand what I mean? Because there are some people that want to be treated in a certain way, that want things or that think certain things are important to them that might not be important to somebody else. Whereas somebody might find personal possessions important, then you get everybody who's got a dog. I know anyway. Anybody that I associate with as another human being that's got a dog absolutely loves and adores the dogs, and they become really important rather than possession things. So yeah, I can understand that people shouldn't be threatened and separated, but it's like we were saying before. If there's something about you that they don't understand, then that's what they're going to do. They're going to put you into a compartment that allows them to be able to rid themselves of the perceived problem that you're creating. Yep.
I mean, I was watching a bit of news at the kebab shop earlier because I wandered up the old kebab shop, and they had the old telly on. The old telly on. And down south, there's a dog that went a bit wild, and they were going to destroy it. Now, I don't think anybody should destroy anything. I think we're all should be good things in society. No one should kill anybody, and nobody should kill anybody for killing anybody. Because if you're going to kill someone for killing someone, you're as good as the person that killed the person that you're killing them for. Yeah, that's a really good synopsis. I think that's probably wandered down that sort of alley somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, we do. How we treat each other as human beings is abhorrent. I mean, I'm not just talking about. I'm not just talking about these psychopaths that we've elected, and it's just greed. greed. But even it filters down to like all you got to do is put ITV on a morning at 9:30 or whatever it is, and then you've got, and again, these people, what we would say are less important issues, these arguments that they're having with each other, but to them that's their entire world, and that's the way that they've been brought up, and they've been conditioned like you say, they've been conditioned, and it's the same destructive behavior from the people who you'd perceive to be at the top because they've got more money than everyone else. I don't know why that makes you on top, apart from you can buy a higher a crane or whatever, and the people at the below, the mindset of each individual group is the same from the top to the bottom. Ade, you wanted to say something, didn't you?
Yeah, do you know, I can remember, I've said this before as well, my favourite word, and I didn't know why when I was at school, was anti-disestablishmentarianism, which ironically I now find difficult to say because of the Bell's palsy. Anyway, but what I remember is, you know, like on a Saturday, you know, we used to go into town with my mum, and she used to go to the market, and yeah, it was busy, but people actually used to walk around. I don't mean smiling, like looking stupid smiling, but, you know, generally people had got a smile on their face. Now, you know, I lived in a steel town, and it weren't easy, and yeah, there were strikes and all the usual sort of stuff for the, I mean, I was born in 66, so all the early 70s stuff, and, you know, and life weren't that easy, but still people walked around and smiled, and particularly, you know, like 1st of December, anybody my mum and dad saw who they sort of didn't have regular contact with, but they happened to bump into in the street or something, they'd say, yeah, happy Christmas and remember me to, but nobody does that anymore. The best you get out of anybody now is have a good one. There's nobody walks around smiling and being nice to anybody anymore. They've just managed to get us all with our head down, grumbling, looking at the floor, wondering where our next scrap of shit is coming from and what bloody iPhone we need to buy next. And it's almost like the whole culture of the whole country has become dumbed down to us all needing more than we can possibly ever get.
Weren't like that in your day, were it, Ron?
I can say, as Ade said, he was 66. What are you, Jason?
I'm a little bit less than that. I'm 48. I'm 49 this month.
I'm 58, so I'm 61 here.
Right.
So as I said to you before, you know, I'm a lot older than you. Right now, age is not a great sort of sizer on where you're going to go. But, you know, when you've seen a lot more, and I said to you before, you know, when I've seen it for such a long time, for where we're going, yeah, I mean, the thing is, right, you know, when they, and I think Ade is a great man. I love his art behind his camera. You know, he's saying, stop asking for permission, right? I don't need permission from anybody, right? I've never need permission for anybody. They keep asking me for it, and they keep forcing me to do it, and I've been forced to do it for 60 years. You know when these people turn around and say to you, "Oi, you've got to do this." You tell them, say, "Look, I've spent 18 years under my parents' sort of rules and regulations, and now I have to wander out into the wilderness." And then somebody else keeps saying, "Well, you've got to follow our rules and laws." There's no such thing as laws. There's statutes, and it's all about consent and everything else. And if you're going to consent to it, right, well and good. you know, if you want to say, okay, yes, I accept this and I accept that, but forcing it on people, that's where it's going to go bloody wrong, isn't it?
The thing is, Ron, you're quite right. Statutes and acts aren't laws. They're man-made rules that are masquerading as laws. That,
yes.
Let's say the general public believe they are law. Ooh, there's a law against that. And I'll give you an example of how conditioned people have become. Over the past few months, I've had to spend a few days in hospital. I've had a couple of heart operations and stuff. Now, I know that in certain areas of hospitals, there are massive signs up that say, you know, there are some kind of pacemaker or whatever. You know, please don't use mobile phones in this particular area. And you know, I get that. But there was but where I was, there was none of that. And a chap who was a lovely bloke, intelligent guy, got his own business, got a degree in God knows what. He actually sat up in his bed, looked at me, and he said, "Are we all right to use a mobile phone in here? Are we allowed?"
Hey, where did he go? Where did everybody go?
Sorry about that. I just got into the kitchen, didn't I? I just went into the kitchen.
Look to do something,
off, didn't it?
Everybody waits to ask permission to do it.
Mate, you went off.
Hello, where did you get up to?
Where did we get up to, Rob?
Hospital.
Right, I'm in hospital. There's a guy out in the opposite bed to me, and he said, "Are we allowed to use a phone?" Allowed? And I said, "Stewie, how old are you?" And he's in his late 40s, you know. And why do you need to ask permission to use a phone? Because that's how it's got. People are just conditioned that unless they've been given permission to do something, they've got to ask for permission, and they assume that the answer's going to be no. Well, unless I'm going to hurt somebody else, why couldn't I do it? You know, my rights stop where yours start. And as long as I'm not doing anything to hurt, harm you, or whatever, then
it's gonna go.
It's not wrong.
Why do I need a jumper on backwards and a balaclava on my feet? I can.
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
You keep disappearing, mate. That's what just keeps happening. It's riveting live stuff here on Raconteurs News. Hello again to everyone. Just space ghost farts. Look, I'm really struggling here because my wife's gone upstairs, and I've just walked into the kitchen, as you noticed, and Watson's done a really big shit. And I don't. So what do I do? Do I clean it up? It's massive. It's like it's got. So. And it stinks in here, so I have to wait until 9 o'clock before I can clear it up. I just hope that my missus finishes what she's doing upstairs before she comes down. Before 9 o'clock. What's in you?
Is it a wispy?
No,
is it a wispy turn?
I'll tell you what it's like. It's like 2 king-size Mars bars straight from the fridge.
Oh, easy, Tiger. Come on.
Talking about shit is the fucking best, isn't it?
Oh, God.
No.
I'm having this thing at the moment, whereas, I don't think we should make this into
No, don't even
No,
go there. Don't do it. Don't start it.
Let's
Don't
not
have
make
it.
that. Anyway, we've got about 10 minutes left before we have to say au revoir. We've got Ron Malcolm's joined us. He's on. He's a listener, and Ade Hardy is with me as well. No Webby tonight. Webby's been working. He's had other commitments, and our guest Ann Marie Carey has not been able to join us either. She's got some family event to not event. Family situation to resolve, or some family business to do. So she's not been able to join us tonight, but I will be rebooking. I'll get in touch and see when we can get her back on again. We've got about 10 minutes left, and other than me taking all black things out of my laptop and going and taking my laptop into the kitchen and showing you Watson's huge, massive turd.
No.
No, I don't do that. But Ron, how did you get to be find yourself listening to Raconteurs News?
I heard from you from Cookie Munster.
All right, cool.
And
good man. He's good man. He's on a Monday night and sometimes Wednesdays as well. Just
I mean,
just have a look for him. Have a look him up. Yeah, go on, carry on. God, this shit.
I was just say, we all need to find different things that work. Yeah, I mean, if we can't talk, we don't know, do we?
No, of course not. We're never going to know, are we? Even if we don't talk, how are we supposed to? When these things are put in his way in order to divide us, if we don't talk about it, if we're not allowed to talk about it and say, and be mature about it, the maturity seems to have gone. With this, the maturity there doesn't seem to be any. Apart from
to say the kiddie thing comes into it, doesn't it? Because it's this and that, or it's you or him, or it's them or them, or they are doing this. Only us can change it. When they say, "Oh, they are doing this to us," no, we are letting them doing it to us. Until you can decide that they are doing it to us. Yeah, I mean, when you've got gangs, I mean, I look at, when there's groups of people that will try and steer us in the way. I hope you enjoy that, Fag.
I'm going to.
Yeah, I know you do. We all need to look at each other. And then we all, I mean, as I say to you before, I mean, I've got friends up north, you think us down the south don't know. There's loads of us down south who are with you. When you say, oh, well, it's us and them. No, we're all together. That's one thing I want to say is that we're all together. And that's what we should be. We should all be one.
But there is an us and them, isn't there? Because there's us who are, the general population. Then there's them who want to divide us, so that we then see other people that are just like us as someone else. Ade, go on. You were going to say something, mate. Go on.
Yeah, just I listen to loads and loads and loads of stuff, and some of it's rubbish, and other stuff you kind of take on board. There was something that David Icke said. He's probably said many times, and that is that we're all affected by what we see and what we hear. So if we are stopped from seeing or hearing something, then it clearly can't affect what we think, because it's not having any influence on us, because it's not getting to us. And it's taken away your own free choice of, well, not free choice, of what your gut instinct tells you to believe. Now, we are the first generation to see, if you like, the stage that this has got to. So imagine what this is going to be for our kids or our grandkids who have never ever had that information, that perception in the first place. So I think that this is critical time now, right now, for, I hate the words wake up, but for people to actually realize what is going on. You know, money isn't real. There isn't a correct mortgage contract ever written. The word mortgage means death grip. It's what it means.
Yep.
Chemtrails are what they are. Fracking will poison you. Everything that we've ever discussed on Raconteurs 2 or 1,000,001 other platforms, you know, it doesn't matter whether you're talking about Illuminati, royal family, money, whatever. If people don't realize this is now. Once we've gone past this generation, because all this information that is in here and it's coming into my brain all the time, and at the moment, a lot of it is out there to gain. Because of what we've seen with the TR stuff being banned, I know David Icke had stuff taken down, Vinny's had stuff taken down, Max Egan's taken stuff down because he knows that, I mean, you've only got to say the words Stephen Huxley Lennon or whatever it is, or TR, it just gets taken down, you know? So we are the last generation to get all the information. And if we're not spreading it, and if we're not telling each other about it, then it's our fault. Because the next generation won't have the option, because they'll never know.
So when it all goes tits up, it's yours and Ade's fault. Yours
Exactly
and Ade's
right.
generation fault.
It is. It's exactly right. That is exactly right. So,
well, it's all our generations. It's everybody. Well, it's not. You know. How do you tell somebody who's hypnotized that they're hypnotized? You can't, can you? You can't. Well, I've just hypnotized you. Oh, have you? All right then. Yeah. You tell them.
I think more than ever, we've got to find that one thing to trigger that first domino. For me, that's what we've all got to do. You know, it's all right us all sitting here and we all know this stuff. It's about trying to just say them one-liners, them what I call them elevator statements that make people sit up and listen. What do you mean money's not real? You know, what do you mean you don't pay your TV license? How do you get away with that? Well, it's not a case of getting away with yada, yada, yada. Just drop these, and it's got to be something that applies to them. You know, it's no good saying to somebody who's never owned a dog that if they don't give their dog injections, it'll get parvovirus, because they ain't got a fucking dog in the first place. It's got to be something that's relevant to them. The big one for me was money. I'd worked in the finance industry for 20 odd years, and then my mate Jason explained to me that money didn't exist. And I'm like, are you having a laugh? The kid's mad. But then when you look at it and realize it and do my own research and give myself a big kick up the arse, and that's what we've got to do to our friends and risk being alienated, because we all live in a world that we don't belong in, and it's not us that's mad, it's the world that's mad.
It's it's all about managing it and being and saying the right things in the right situations and being able to pass on information when people might be interested, not interested, but might be needing to feed off that information.
Yeah, it's about being able. It's about being able to hit on that one thing that is important to somebody.
Jason.
Go on,
Jason.
Go on, Ron.
What I'm saying though is that I've talked to someone who's should be reasonably educated, and I've tried to explain to him about the monetary system, and he,
Ron, can I tell you why I'm laughing? The reason why I'm laughing is both my brother and sister on paper, when we actually left school or left further education, if you like, were both a lot more qualified than I. My sister's worked for a bank for years, and my brother was a copper for all of his career virtually. But then I then went on into finance and actually got more qualifications than either. But that's irrelevant. What I too late in life discovered was that being able to regurgitate somebody else's theory, because if you think back to school, how much of it was true and how much of it was theory and how much of it was lies? Because every history lesson I ever had, the history books were written by the winners. So that was all bullshit. When they were talking about money and stuff at school, well, that was clearly bullshit. When I was in science and they were talking about the theory of relativity and the theory of gravity, well, that was all theory, so that's all bollocks. They told me that a solid thing isn't solid because it's made of lots of things that have got big holes in them and neutrons and protons, but there's all these, in between all that, there's all this space, so it's not really a solid. Well, it's all fucking theory. So how much that I actually learned and was supposed to pass an exam on was somebody else's shit. Because being able to regurgitate somebody else's theory is no reflection on your intelligence. Being able to think for yourself and realize what's going on in the world and being able to meander your way through it successfully that's a measure of intelligence. Being able to think for yourself and decide what's your truth. I mean, I've got no problem with somebody having religion. That's absolutely fine. If that's your truth, that's your truth.
The true measure of intelligence is whatever you were going to say. I can't remember. I've just forgot. I've got this thing going through my head about this story that I want to tell, and I'm going to wrap up now because we're at 9 o'clock. So we're probably going to say good. We are going to say good night. Good night to everybody who's in the chat. Oh, question for Ron and Ade.
Question what? Sorry.
A quick question from New Being. He wants us put in the chat room for both you and for Ron. Did you learn that vaccinations are good?
Did I learn that? Well, my doctors actually rang me and said at my age, twats, I ought to be having a flu injection. So I simply said, "What's in it?" And that's all I asked. What is in it? And she said, "What do you mean?" So what's in it? Well, what do you mean? What's in this flu jab? Well, it's a vaccine. Yeah, but what's in it? And they obviously don't know. And I said, when you can ring me back and tell me what's in it, I might consider it. But when they can't even tell you what's in it, let alone what it'll do to you, I'm not interested.
What about you, Ron? Vaccinations?
I've not had one for years. No, I wouldn't take one because I don't know what's in it.
Brilliant. Well, I think that's answered New Being's questions, and I think we all know what my summation of vaccinations are. Well, listen, a big thanks to Ron for calling in, and to Super Leeds who called in earlier on and contributed to the show because our guest couldn't make it, and a big thanks to Ade as well, who hopefully we're going to see more of, and there may be a show Friday night depending on how much we've consumed. So look, you can look forward to that, and we'll leave it up, Super Leeds. We'll leave it up. This was the story I just wanted to tell you. I love to mess with people, particularly in a situation that I'm in where nobody ever feels that they can say to me, you know, bollocks, fuck, or anything like that. I went to the doctors today for my INR, and I was in the waiting room, sat waiting, and there was an old bloke and an old woman right next to me, and the old guy, he was looking. There was a little girl across from me. She was looking. They always do. They were looking at my leg, and there was an old guy sat next to me, and after a while, you know, where everyone's just looking at walls and what's going on and whistling and all that. 'Cause I don't take my phone out with me anymore, so I don't ever look on my phone at all when I'm out. It's always in the house. So, you know, everyone's looking at all the things on the wall. Anyway, the old bloke engaged me in a conversation, and he's like, you know, it's just nice weather and all that. I said, yeah, it's got all sunny and that's turned a bit cold though, and he turned to me, he looked at me, and he nodded at my leg, and he said, so, if you don't mind me asking, what happened? I said, well, here's the truth. I'm a really, really intense magician. And what I'm doing is I'm making myself disappear piece by piece. And just as I said that, and the look on his face were like, just as I said that, the nurse came in and called me in, so I didn't have to face anything backing up on that. So I just like to, just a bit of friendly, little bit of messing about with people. So listen, thanks to everybody for listening. Thanks to Ade, to Ron, to Super Leeds, and to Watson as well, who's been sat here and done a great big massive shit in the kitchen. To go, I might seem like I'm stalling. It's probably because I don't want to. I'm hoping that Danielle will come downstairs and spot the turd and clean it up before I'm done. But you know, we've gone 4 minutes over and it's still not happened. So that's hardly likely.
Jason. Jason.
Yes.
I hope you ask me back. I hope I haven't abused myself too much.
No, sir. No. It's been great getting an insight. It's lovely talking to our listeners. It's great to interact. You know, at least then you know that the real people, and it's all good stuff. Listen, Ron, it's a pleasure to have you on, and believe it or not, it was a pleasure to have Super Leeds on, even though he like comes on and goes, what's stuff? I ain't got no to talk about. Well, no, really. You know, do you want to talk about Leeds? Oh, no, really. Oh, good. Well, but you know, everyone's got their all the good bits and everything. I don't.
Can I add a but?
Yes.
Get a but to this. If you want me to come back, I mean, I will join your chats, right? But if you want me to come, I mean, you can invite me in, and I will try and enhance Ade, because Ade has got a real bent on stuff, right? And I think like Ade as well, right? And if you want to, invite me back, I mean, you've got my email as well.
I've got it now, yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah,
so
no problem.
We might get to look at more than the top of Ron's head.
Yeah.
Good camera work. Fucking hell. Kubrick could be pleased with that.
Right, everybody. Anyway, we're going now. Definitely. I've got a turd to clean up. I've got a turd with my name on it. Two with my name on them. Sitting in the kitchen. We'll see you next week. Me and Ade will maybe back Friday night. We may come back on Friday night, and let's face it, we probably will, because you know, on a Friday after, you know, we just like to have a piss about. But please don't expect us to be polite and to not swear, because we do generally on that show a lot more than we do on this one. But thanks to everyone for listening, and we'll see you. Myself and Webby will be back next week. Hopefully, we'll have Ann Marie Carey and the guest that we had to cancel for tonight because Webby had got work on. She's one of Webby's friends, which is why we cancelled it, because he weren't going to be here, and you know, I don't want to be. He knew the situation, but she's going to be talking about mental health issues and also abusive relationships, so that's going to be quite serious, and hopefully we'll get that on next week. But we'll sort that out. We'll let you know. Keep looking at us. Give us a thumbs up on YouTube. Give us a thumbs down if you don't like it, and if you're on Facebook, take it easy, everybody. Love you. Bye.